Everyone, it's Amber again, and with a divorce diary that I recently am doing right now, just because it was pressed on my heart. I want to talk about the introduction of the divorce word in your marriage. The introduction of the divorce word came from my ex-husband, and it came a month into our marriage, and a simple situation that led to him now saying, hey, you didn't close out your past. I got a phone call from a guy friend who I haven't spoke with since, I got married in March, so I haven't really spoken with him since October of the previous year, and I wasn't engaged. I was dating my husband, my soon-to-be husband, but I wasn't engaged yet. And so I just had a conversation, and we normally just check on each other. So a lot happens clearly since that October and that April. And so we were coming home from Hawaii, and the guy called, and my ex-husband was like, what is that? Who is that? Call him back. And he got on the phone, said, hey, don't call her no more. She's married and all of that. So we got home, and from a happy trip, we got home, and it was so thick. And, I remember him, saying like, man, I don't know. I want to get a divorce. I was trying to explain to him what happened. He wasn't hearing it. He had me to go through my phone and delete all the men in my phone, go in on social media, unfriend all the, potential, like he said, I don't care. Anybody that potentially could call you or message you, you go and you find them and you delete them. And so I did that, and I felt so bad. That kind of led to the first time that divorce was introduced, and now I'm looking like, divorce? Like, first of all, we just got married too. I wasn't thinking that. I was in my mind going through that. I was like, okay, how are we going to get through this first hurdle? Because this was our first hurdle. And so I kind of felt like really, really bad, at the same time trying to make up for, what I did. And now it's this big rift. During that time. And also, which we both didn't know, I was actually pregnant at that time. And 2 weeks later, we found out that, we was having, a child. And so I was just really in the mind frame of doing and literally saying, what can I do to kind of fix this? And what can we do to get back on course? Knowing that I just explained to you, hoping that you can trust that, but he didn't. And so when I heard that word, it was really like, oh man, so that is an option for us now. And so now I am thinking that that's in your mind, so I have to be on my best behavior so you won't go and file for divorce, basically. That was how I took it now that my marriage was like, okay, well, divorce is an option for you, and that, we're going to do the best that we can, and I'm just going to now feel like I'm going to live my married life trying to make up to my husband. So we're now trying to get into the rhythm of, the first years of marriage. And so later on that year, he introduced the second time he introduced divorce. Because of a thing that he asked me, I said no, but I also gave him an alternative. Well, why don't we do this? Because this seems more like what you need to do, or, what can be done than doing it just your way. Like, you telling me what to do and I'm just supposed to go along with it. I gave you, a suggestion. He didn't like it. And so after that, I got an email from him saying, hey, when I get back, because he was on a business trip, hey, when I get back, I'm going to file for divorce. So, So I was like, and then I emailed back and I said, well, thank you for letting me go. And I believe at that time, based off of what I said, I knew that he didn't want to be married. And I kept saying that to him. And maybe because I was saying that because of the fact that he introduced divorce so early. And so I knew that he didn't want to be married. I knew that this like marriage was not what he wanted. I kept alluding to him, you want somebody that maybe you're not like attached to like that, and maybe you want a romantic, life partner and stuff. But, I kept alluding to that. I said, you don't want to be married. But he insisted, yeah. And so the point that I want to kind of get everyone to know is that, introducing divorce in your marriage can really take a toll on the mental state and the physical state, emotional state, spiritual state, sexual state of your marriage. I wouldn't recommend you introducing the word divorce, saying, oh, well, I want a divorce. Like, people fly off the handle knowing it's an option. Now, it's an option, but knowing it's an option, the easy way out is, that's why I'm getting a divorce. When people take marriage seriously, that should not come out anyone's mouth. The first thing should be, first of all, everybody cool down. But second, how are we able to fix this? And how are we going to effectively talk to each other to know, hey, I didn't expect you to have any guy friends. I didn't expect someone to, call you out your past. Like, so how can we do that to make sure that we both, are respected and, so this won't happen again. I would have loved that conversation, but the fact that it didn't go that way, and I do remember screaming. Like, I remember screaming. I know my neighbors heard me and stuff. I was wailing to almost the fact that he said that, and he walked out the door that day, and I was just so frustrated with that. And then in the back of my mind too, because I always trusted him. And he had women friends from his home state and everything from his past that I never had a question about. But the fact of the matter is that an old friend who contacted me, you didn't like, but yet you have old friends of the opposite sex contact you and you think it's fine. Moral of the whole story about mentioning divorce, making sure that you do not mention it unless you really mean it. I don't look down on nobody who wants to get a divorce, has gotten a divorce, because I'm in your shoes, and I know the feeling when people say, oh, God don't like that, and oh, that ain't godly, and you should just remain married. He doesn't like, adultery and fornication and slandering people and, all of this sin that is clearly we're all doing. He doesn't like that. But that's the gift of repentance. And as long as you repented, about the decision in which I did, as long as you repented to God and say, Lord, I broke a covenant because I stood before you and I said that I was going to vow to do this, and I broke that, and it broke my heart. Now I can live free, understanding the lessons learned, and I can move forward knowing what I need to do now, knowing what I need to look for prior to getting married. I just felt bad because of the fact that, divorce was an option for him. It wasn't for me. And unless you're going to really don't introduce that word unless you know, because now it has a whole lot of psychological effects on your marriage now. And whoever introduces the word, now the other person's going to have that in their mind saying, hey, okay, a divorce is an option for you. So what does that say about me? And now I have to feel like I have to now do whatever it is to please you so you won't go and file for divorce. And so nobody wants to live like that. And you introduce the divorce word, it doesn't sit well with the other person. And I'm just saying that from a person who received that, and it's not a good feeling at all. So when you feel like you want to introduce that word, just want to be sure that you really mean it and not just saying it because you're mad. The best advice I got was just wait 24 hours. Process your feelings, because there are some people that need to process their feelings. They can't speak right now. That's me. I can't speak in the moment. I need to speak after I process my feelings. Process your feelings and make sure that you still feel that way the next day. After you calm down, after you talk to God, wise counsel, after you talk to godly counsel, making sure that someone sees it from a different perspective. And because when you introduce the word, but then you say, oh, I was just kidding, never mind. There's no kidding with that. When you say, oh, I don't want to get a divorce, and now you're up and down and you're wavering and stuff, like when you make a decision, this is the decision that you made. So when I finally stepped out of the roundabout, stepped out of trying, because I felt like I tried. I felt like, chances were given. I felt like, I did everything possible that I could during the marriage. And when I made the decision to walk away, that was my decision. I wasn't turning back. And from that day, no one can say that I turned back. No one can say that. And that's the same thing with divorce. When you say that, your bags better be packed. Your papers should already be in front of my face. All of that should be your next step. It shouldn't be, oh, we're going to live together and separate this on out. There's no separation. We need to remove ourselves from each other so we won't continue going in this roundabout. So that's just some of the things that I've experienced, and some of the things, that we all need to take into consideration when considering divorce in a marriage. Now, if you are the person that is on the receiving end, I suggest, always pray about it. Actually, before you blurt out the words, pray about that. Pray about that thing. And God will reveal. And once he does, don't do anything until he reveals your next step. But when you're on the receiving end, pray about it. Make sure you come back in love and say, is this what you really meant? Is this what, why? And then have a long conversation. And maybe that can clear up some things. So, just wanted to share that with you guys today. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day.